Hi, everybody. Christian here, back again. Modern medicine is an emergency medical system. It is not designed to take into account all the various factors that you need to account for when you have to heal a very complex, complicated chronic digestive condition. When you have multiple factors contributing to digestive illness, which is what a chronic condition is, then you need a system that actually takes all that information and puts it in the right place so that you have a total picture of what's happening. Because why? Well, because if you take one piece of information, like, okay, let's block stomach acid because that'll get rid of acid reflux. It's like, no, actually that creates more problems for your other organs, which makes your disease worse and longer lasting, right? It makes it harder to get rid of. So the modern medical thing fails to take into account how your organs are connected, how your organs influence one another. There's no such thing, even theoretically, right? If you studied like a textbook understanding of what I'm teaching you, there's no such thing as, okay, well, I just have liver heat, so I'll just treat that and my whole condition will come back. My entire body will recover because of that. No, that doesn't happen. It can't happen. It will never happen. It has never happened. Okay, you have to treat liver heat in relationship to what's going on in the spleen and what's happening with dampness and what's happening with dryness. And we need to balance all those factors out so that we have a total picture of everything that needs to be healed. And then we're going to treat all of that at one time. If you look below this video, there's a link to the quiz. We have to know where to start. Your dominant primary type of reflux or your stage of IBS, this information really matters. Okay, but that's how you heal from a chronic condition. Now, what I said we're going to talk about in this video is the blind spot of the modern medical system. I'll just share with you a story. I had an apprenticeship with my mentor in medicine, Jaime, starting in actually 1999, but the real study really began in 2000. But I met him in 99. And I was aware, even at the time that it was happening, that I was having a very special experience. This was a deep learning experience from an older person who knew a lot about natural healing. It's not the kind of thing that happens very often. Certainly if you're not, if you're from the suburbs in the United States, that you end up in an indigenous community learning from somebody who had this depth of knowledge after he was 30 years my senior. And so he had a lot of learning that he had accumulated across all those decades, and was really, I think, quite happy to have an apprentice and somebody that he could pass this knowledge along to. And so I knew at the time that it was happening that it was something really, really unique. I was an avid student. I knew from the very beginning that what I was learning was a system of logical thinking. It was a way of solving problems. So what I'm teaching you in the protocol that I've created called the Pivot Protocol is how to solve your problem. You have a problem, which is your digestion is not working. And we're going to solve that in a very unique way because your condition will have factors in it that are unique to you. You find that there are unique factors that are driving your illness. Even if you had the exact same symptoms as somebody else, they're not going to be in the same proportion of seriousness where, your difficulty swallowing or your bloating and gas are not at the same level of severity. There's other things contributing to your pattern of illness that we have to deal with. And so all of those details really, really matter. Modern medicine takes none of that into account. And early in my education, probably when I say early, is probably like year 3 or 4, so not that early. But there was a medical conference near to the town where I was living. And for whatever reason, I actually befriended. I was introduced to the doctor. It was a modern Western medical doctor who was holding this conference. It was broadly speaking on tropical medicine. It was the first chance I actually spoke and presented at a conference, actually. And I was sharing some of my learning experience. And doctors were fascinated, actually. They were fascinated. I was sharing with them some of the logic of the system that I was learning. Now, that's not what I want to tell you about the medical conference. I would come early and attend the lectures and meet doctors. And this was very important to me at the time because my only goal was to learn how what I was discovering could fit into the modern system, right? I still have a lot of respect for modern medicine, as should we all. But I was very interested to see, well, who are these doctors? What brought them here? What do they know that I could benefit from? And, we got into very, very good, deep discussions. But I remember, and there were doctors there who were at a tropical medicine conference. mind you. There were doctors there who were so terrified of getting sick, being in the tropics, they were actually taking ciprofloxacin, which is one of the strongest oral antibiotics you can take. They were taking this as a preventative. Should you really be taking one of the heaviest, hardcore antibiotics that currently exists if you don't actually have an infection? Is there no consequence to such behavior? Every one of these doctors understands that, and this was a decade and a half ago. Actually, this was 17, 18 years ago. So even back then, it wasn't like nobody understood that there was antibiotic resistance to certain, especially hospital germs and bacteria that exist in hospitals that no longer respond to antibiotics. Gee, how did that happen? Well, part of how it happens is that doctors have a real, I hate to chalk it up to this, but actually I will just say it. There is a cultural arrogance about modern medicine. The modern medical system actually believes that if it doesn't know about something, that it's not a problem. And also at the same time that, right, the solutions that modern medicine has come up with, like antibiotics, for example, are so good and so superior that there's no danger, there's no consequences. And if you have to take Cipro prophylactically, meaning preventatively, well, then you should just go ahead and do that because there's no real problem if you do that, which is complete nonsense. Okay. First of all, antibiotics are dreadful for your digestion. So these people who are, drinking coffee with cream and sugar and orange juice and croissants and all kinds of other things, all of which are very difficult on your digestion as it is. If you have a digestive disorder and you're drinking lots of orange juice and coffee with sugar and cream and eating bread and pastries and things like this, you know full well what that does to you. Okay. And these people, in their strange kind of arrogant mindset, think that there's no consequence to taking antibiotics, even when they're not called for. It shows just a wild level of ignorance and real stupidity, actually, to be doing such a thing. You do not take a heavy-duty antibiotic like Cipro because you might get sick. That's not how those pills work. And so the blindness of modern medicine with respect to digestive conditions is this weird attitude that you can actually get away with things that you cannot get away with. Now, these people were smart, they were healthy, they were strong, they have all kinds of other resources, medically speaking, that they can actually fall back on if something goes terribly wrong, right? All of them know, probably anybody there could have been medevac, there was hospitals close by, right? So if you did get sick from something, like how bad could that actually be? But my point is, right, using that kind of solution because you might, get exposed to some kind of bacteria that you didn't want to get exposed to because you were traveling in Central America is an idiotic approach. And it's actually all too common within the modern medical world. Now, I'm not saying this to be overly critical of doctors, but that kind of approach to digestive health is completely off the hinges. I'll give you one more anecdote very quickly here. Later in my career, I actually started my clinical career at the hospital. I actually approached the hospital once I had obtained my medical license. And this would have been in 2008, 2009. There's a rural hospital where I was living in Central America, and I met the medical director. I was actually friends with him, and I told him what I could do for some of the patients that they were seeing. He was very open to it, and they actually brought me in, and we did a trial run, and they were very impressed. They were very happy to have my skills there. And so I was treating patients at the hospital in Central America, and it really allowed me to work out how my approach to helping people with chronic conditions and helping promote self-healing in the patient, which is totally different than anything the modern medical world is doing, how this self-healing approach that I show you in the pivot protocol really fits in with modern medicine. And groups of doctors come down and they'll do surgeries for people who need it. So these are doctors doing essentially, this is like medical outreach. One group of doctors came down and in very bad Spanish, I must say, a woman did a presentation on fungal infections. In the tropics, and what antibiotic, what treatment should be applied. Now here, when I'm talking about fungal infections, a lot of you, if you have digestive illness, you're already dealing with a fungal infection. This is very common. Why? Because one of the big complications that happens after taking antibiotics is fungal infection. You get, the common one is Candida albicans, which is a type of fungus, and it spreads through the body. But I watched this presentation, and basically every slide was not, I don't want you to get the wrong impression here. We're not talking about general run-of-the-mill garden variety fungal infections. These were slides with people, picture this, like a mushroom growing out of their ear, or a mushroom coming out of somebody's nose. Now, it looks like a tumor. It actually looks like it could be a malignant, cancerous kind of thing, but these are actual fungal infections where you get fungus in your mouth and then it grows out the side of your cheek and out your lip. It was a horror show. And the reason I'm telling you this and trying to give you a good visual image is at every step, the presenter, it was a female doctor, at every slide, she's saying what the fungal infection is. Here's the patient who had it. This is the image. This is what we want you to know. And here's the antibiotic that fixes this fungus. Now, can you kill fungal infections with prescription antibiotics? Yeah, you can. In fact, you might have to, but you can't get rid of the fungus, because part of the reason people get fungal infections is from taking antibiotics. Do you get it? There's a blindness in the medical system where their belief in their solutions is so ironclad and airtight that you cannot get them out of these solutions. So like the solution to a fungal infection that's so bad that you have a mushroom growing out your ear is get off antibiotics. That's the correct solution. Don't keep giving people especially in tropical countries, this is a huge problem because the antibiotics cause the fungal infection, which causes the doctor to give you another antibiotic, which causes worse fungal infections. Your body gets so out of balance that you can't recover. And the modern medical system only gives you more of exactly what brought you into that dreadful place in the first place. There's a blindness in the medical system, which is that only the problems that it sees exist and only the solutions that it knows about are legitimate. Now, I went on to work at hospitals in Cleveland and Chicago, and I've lectured in Virginia and San Francisco and lots of places in between, New York, right? And on and on and on. And I can tell you that the blindness exists everywhere. It's groupthink of the worst kind. If you watch the other videos, you know I'm a big fan of modern medicine. Most doctors are at least aware that this blindness exists, but they don't have any other training that helps them. They don't have any other solution that they can offer. That's why you need to know about a system like the one that I share with you about how you can heal on your own without more pills, without more doctor visits, without all the nonsense and all the shenanigans that you have to go through inside the modern medical system, because it has nothing else to offer you. The blindness of the medical system is endemic. You can't get rid of it. The only thing you can do is take that emergency medical system, put it where it's supposed to be, go to it if you have an emergency, and then learn a medical system that actually teaches you how to heal your body on your own so that your organs actually come back into balance and you recover from within, not because you're taking a bunch of medications from without, not because you have to, buy supplements from me, right, at $70 a bottle for the rest of your life. No, that's not a solution. That's part of the problem. You want your body to recover from within. So that's what I'm sharing with you in the Pivot Protocol. Now, again, quickly here, I'm doing a group coaching. This fast tracks your breakthrough. You want to break through into a different level of healing, because that means your organs are now working together in cooperation. The way you do that is to apply the Pivot Protocol. The fastest way to apply the Pivot Protocol is to learn from the group coaching session. Here's what you need to do right now. Here's everything you need to understand about your condition. Here's the solutions that are really going to help break through to that level of sort of breakout kind of recovery, where your body is now working correctly again. From there, it's just details and a little bit of time and repetition. And also, you'll know exactly where to go in the material to go finish your healing. Normally, when I do coaching individually, I do it's $1,500 just to talk to me. Okay, and then we have a whole program to get you through that. If you're interested in that level, you can email any of the email addresses you have. I'm happy to talk to you for $1,500. But if you want to spend a lot less money, you can do group coaching and you can get personalized 10 minutes of personalized attention to help you with your specific problem and to get you over the hump so that you're over the obstacle that you're in front of right now and that you really do get fast track kind of breakthrough healing. That's the goal here. What the coaching call does is help you apply the pivot protocol really quickly. So if you think you're a good candidate for that, click below, fill out the short form and give me some information on your situation and we'll get you scheduled. Click below, get started, get signed up for coaching. In the next video, I want to talk to you about why chronic illness is chronic. What is it in your body that makes a chronic condition so hard to get rid of? Why does it stay around where it won't go away? I already said 80 to 95% of your healing is done by your body, right? If it's your body that heals, why won't it heal something when it becomes a chronic condition? What's happening to break that down? I'll give you very, very good insight in part 5 coming up. Okay, thanks very much. Click below.